So it'll just be me, Deltaverse Comics, Alex Garcia, and Paula Richey, and my third guest, my noisy chair. We're just here talking about, talking about Christian artists versus churches, I guess, or religious organizations, whatever you want to call it. And when you're a designer or just an artist in general, and you do work that is, well, you're assuming is not charity or anything like that, like a hard offering or anything, and yet there's either slow to pay or not pay or
you pay.
Or you pay, right? You pay for your materials, you pay for everything, but hey, you get something to add to your portfolio,
Yeah, that exposure.
You get that nice little exposure. You get to put it on your social media,
Yeah.
Then you'll rake in all the big bucks from all the other ones that don't want to pay you either. So
yeah, it's even better than exposure. It's holy exposure.
Oh yes, yeah. You're doing work for it's kingdom work,
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't really go anywhere though. So yeah, I've had to set some boundaries with that. So I will do a project specifically as a charity project, or I'll do face painting for the church. Or I'll paint a temporary mural or something. On the windows,
Right.
little
Exactly.
window art things, and sometimes I'll do that, but I have to set my boundaries. I have to know that yes, I can afford the time to do this, and sometimes I have to say yes. Can I afford the equipment to do this as well?
Yeah.
And I will do that as an offering to my church to help them out. But if you do it too much, then they do start to take you for granted.
Yeah. I think, like I was telling you about, paying someone their fair wage, and I think that's something that they tend to forget, because I think they get so wrapped up in the whole heart offering thing, and the whole, charity and so on and so forth. And there's nothing wrong with charity at all, but there were jobs back then, there were things that you got paid for. So it's not like it, and it's not like we have the temple anymore, at least not in a physical form. So why would they assume that somehow, I guess it's the same. I don't know. And then if you're, what is it, a 401(c) or whatever, you already get to write it all off. So,
a 501, yeah.
A 501, yeah, 501, yeah. Sorry, I'm not too well versed in that. Is my mic coming through clear enough or loud enough too? Because I kind of have it far from my face.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. Hold on. Before we go any further, as a matter of fact, I may need to load this up because of my internet connection, but I'm going to load up something, and then it'll be my trailer for Johnny's Law. Let me set it up, and then we'll just keep talking. And so, anything you're working on currently, or?
Oh goodness, I'm working on all kind of stuff currently. So let's see. I have my site indiegen.xyz.
Oh yeah,
which is it's a creator database, and I'm still working on it. I'm still loading in more independent creators so that you can enter and search whatever genre, whatever maturity rating, or yeah.
Basically,
hang on. I got stuck for a second.
Okay.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm a little out of practice talking, but yeah. So it's for people who want to support independent artists, but they can't find any because they're scattered all over the internet. And
Right.
the advantage that you get going through a big mainstream publisher is because people can just go through the whole catalog if they want, or the publisher makes a big name and then you can go through and get a little bit of publicity from that. But it's crucial that indies remain indie. We can't be beholden to these big corporations who can just cancel all our work whenever they feel like it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
So, this is a way for independent creators of entertainment to uh, to remain independent, but still band together to gain more visibility. Because not everybody is going to want to go to every site, but I want it to be simple and clean and easy to browse through and see what everyone has to offer. It's like a vending hall at a comic convention, just
Yeah.
on a website.
Right.
And uh, I'll be fixing this up a little bit nicer in the future, so that it should stay simple,
Right.
but also so that you get more the feeling of being at a Comic Con from
Yeah.
the
Okay.
site.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
Well, it looks good so far. I mean, it is definitely pretty simple. The application was really easy, and I assume you're the one going through all the applications, right?
yes, I want to go through each one in person. It cuts down on, you know, bots and spam and people just joking around. So
Right.
so far, so far this has gone really well. So you can even do the little drop down menu up at the top. Uh,
Hmm.
you can select medium or genre, or you can select, um, you can type in keywords if you know something about what it is that you want to look up,
Right.
and you can see if that's represented. I have a lot of action, a lot of sci-fi.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so this is what I've got so far, and there's Silver Empire Press. I have a book coming out with them very soon. I don't know exactly when yet, but
Okay.
I'll let everyone know.
Is it a comic book or what is it? Or is it a
It's a
novel?
novel. It's a superhero novel.
Oh, okay. You got a
Yeah.
title yet or?
Yes, it's called Penance. It's going to be their first young adult title in their Heroes Unleashed line.
Ah,
So they have a whole novel verse of superhero stories, and each series is by a different author, following different characters, and it's all set in the same universe. A lot like
okay.
the Marvel universe.
Okay.
Um,
So
so you know,
what is that like? What does that require for you as far as um, knowing, or is it still early enough that you don't have to know a whole lot to, you know what I mean? Like story wise, connecting the story to the rest of the multiverse, or
yeah. So far, we're at the occasional cameo level and like an overall arc for the world.
yeah.
And if we have specific questions, we have a group that we get in and hash that out. Okay, so yeah, there you are at Deltaverse Comics. I put the website as this YouTube channel, but you can see
Okay.
if you scroll over or roll over it, you can
Oh, I
see that
see.
your Indiegogo link is in the menu there.
That's awesome.
Or yeah, so I can put text inside your rollover text.
Okay. Well, for somebody that's not that techy, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, I hired a guy to do the layout for the site,
Hmm.
and he did beautifully on it. I'm really excited about it. It's very pared down, very minimalist, but I really want the work and each creator to have uh, what they're bringing to be the showcase, the showpiece of it. So you
Right.
can click on any of these and see, you can be taken to their website where their stuff's available for sale.
Oh, that's actually pretty good.
So it doesn't really matter where they have it for sale. Huh,
Right.
not really sure.
It's my
Let's see.
internet. That's
Oh
probably what
yeah,
it is.
yeah, that's yeah, I think that was an
It's
Amazon
just,
author page probably.
mhm.
But a couple of them have that.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, I
my
see it.
my internet's bad, so it's probably not loading up too much stuff.
Oh yeah, it's not loading up the header. That's why it looks a little
Yeah,
plain.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But
so
it's good. It's just good work.
yeah, so you can sort through and find different things. I want to get more comic shops on there so that you can search for wherever there might be a comic shop in your state or for
Hmm.
wherever there might be. I mean, so far I just got the one comic shop. But if you want to support creators that are local to you, um,
Hmm.
then they can opt to include their state. Um,
Oh, I see what you're
yeah,
saying. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So there's not gonna, yeah, there's not any nonfiction comics, but you can,
Oh, and you can add more than one genre. Okay, that's pretty
yeah,
cool. I
yeah.
like that.
So yeah, just keep playing around with, whatever you're in the mood to read. Yeah,
Right.
and I have some blog posts up too.
Yeah, I can see.
So yeah, I didn't want to just sit around and wring my hands over how do we support indie creators? Well, where do we find them all? And
Right, right,
how do we do it? We just want to buy their stuff. Well, where do we find it? I wanted to
right,
create something to answer those questions, to make it easy.
right. Exactly.
And it's free to be listed and everything. And it's free to use.
That's good. That's a pretty good
I mean,
it's a pretty good deal for people if they take advantage of it.
yeah, thank you. I mean, if nothing else, I can use this as my personal shopping mall.
Yeah, right. She's like, you guys don't have to use it. Okay, so let me go ahead and show real quick. Let's see here. Add that, and then go here. And this is my campaign on Indiegogo for Johnny's Law. When an elite assassin refuses to kill a kid, he must now protect him in a deadly Texas town. This is 50 pages, action graphic novel with artwork, a story by me and artwork by Canales from Iron Sights 2 Psychos, also SOS Volume 1 and 2, and lots more stuff coming. Tombstone, what is it? Tombstone Blues and The Abductables, which is another really, really good one. We're at 13 backers so far, but this is the site here. It's going to be in full color. Lots of martial arts action, ninjas, and so on. For some reason, of course, because my internet is slow. Oh, there it goes. It's starting to load up. And yeah, that's horrible. Gosh. I'm sitting here looking around. Is anything else connected to this internet? Because that's probably why. Um, but let's go ahead and watch the video here.
Yeah, this looks really nice. Is this traditionally inked or is this
Hmm.
digital? All
Yeah, it's
right.
traditionally inked. Yeah. Yeah, Abai tends to enjoy doing traditional stuff much more. He has been known to do some things digitally, but it's very minute. If it's something that needs to be done quickly, he may just scan the artwork and then go in and do like little fixes that need to be done. But most of
Yeah.
the time, he doesn't care about like, especially when it comes to pencils, he'll erase something, go back and redo it, and or just start over sometimes, depending on the situation. But yeah, and then this this hand painted. It's actually really done hand painted watercolor by Cesar Feliciano of El Guapo Comics, and this is an alternate cover that comes
Oh, that's
on the
nice.
books. Yeah, it is really really nice. I really like his work. Now he can do traditional, and he can do digital. He does a lot more digital, I believe. I think that sometimes he does what they call blue line on the artboard itself, and then scans it and inks it in the computer.
Hmm.
But I've seen his inks from traditional and computer, and he's got a really great like setup of his tools in digital to where you almost can't tell the difference between his traditional and his digital because it looks like the same tools, like the same brush and everything.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
if you're going to be blending the techniques, then you've got to adjust your digital, I guess.
yeah, exactly, exactly, and he's phenomenal too. Just like Ibaya, like the one thing about him is just watching him work is it's just amazing because it seems so effortless to him. Um, and his inking, like not just to be a good penciler. I mean, that's a skill in its own right, but to be able to pencil and ink,
Yeah.
and ink yourself, and then I've seen him ink others, and how good it looks on their stuff, man. It just amazes me. But let me see here. This one's obviously not going to load on this. Maybe it's the browser I'm using, but I guess there's no real information that can be seen on here anyway. So, uh, just so we can look at the art. And you said you are working on a book, right? I believe you were
Yeah.
working on.
So
Uh,
I've
Go ahead.
got several projects going. So many projects.
Hmm.
So so the novel is coming out with Silver Empire Press soon.
Okay.
Uh, it's it's in the queue for cover art right now. So
Okay.
as soon as they get that done, we're going to launch, I think. And that one's it's called Penance. It's about a superpowered teenage girl who is trying to escape a life of crime and become a good person if she could just figure out what that means. And I'm really excited to be coming out with that soon. And also, I have my comic series that I'm producing myself. You know, a bit at a time.
Right.
It. This year was supposed to be a really good year, and it has not been.
Mhm.
But uh, still had a successful crowdfund for issue 2, and I will be shipping those out soon, just in case anybody is
Is
wondering where
wondering.
their copy is. I'm working on it. I have I had to I had to get a second printing because there's an error in the first printing. It doesn't affect the story,
Right.
but uh, the final couple pages where I had my artist. See, she has a comic that she wants to come out with, and I said, well, you can have the last couple pages um, of this one because I have a couple extra, and I'm not going to put ads in it, except for uh, I put in one for IndieGen and one to promote my letterer's work and to promote my artist work. And then there were a couple of pages left over, and I said, well, you can put a short
Right.
featuring your characters in it. Well, those got printed wrong.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I had to spend some extra funds on another print run, so I'll have that. But the first one, the print run that I have here now, it doesn't affect the story or my story that the whole Kickstarter was run for. So I will run those out if I'll go ahead and put those in the mail if I don't get the second corrected print run in soon. So, I have a backup plan. I have a backup plan for the backup plan. We will be pulling those out.
So what about what do you call it? Were you going to take the extras and do like an eBay store or something and just sell those?
I don't know yet. I was actually kind of thinking about taking the misprinted ones and just finding the little free libraries and stuffing them all.
Oh, okay. You talking about the ones that people make? Are you talking about
the little boxes? There's at least half a dozen that I know of, and they're Pokestops too.
Yeah.
So we cruise around and still do the Pokemon thing. And so I have noticed there are a lot of those little free libraries.
Yeah, I never even I never knew anything about anything like that, but then I saw it. I saw those as I drive around, or I started to notice them rather. And once I noticed them, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. And I'd always thought about going and trying to look and see what they have inside of them, but I never stopped because I was always busy. So
yeah, well, used to be people would go to parks and walk around. They don't really right now. So it's gonna be a little while before I do any in-person stuff. All my Comic Cons got canceled. It's bad. On the other hand, when I got refunded from my tables, I could afford that other print run.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, so how many did you how many did you print initially?
It's a print run of 500 through Alterna Comics printing partnership program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're all on newsprint. So they weren't outrageously expensive, but I do try to run my campaigns pretty close.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good then. At least you got a plan for it,
Yeah. I do a lot of plans and backup plans.
It sounds like it. Okay, so I guess we can shoot over to the topic here that we're talking about. Let's see here. Here, hold on. Let's go ahead and share the screen real quick. All right, so the article is it hard being a Christian graphic designer? I guess that's close enough to what we're discussing. It says, I was emailed by another Christian graphic designer like myself. I'll keep his name anonymous for privacy reasons, but this post shows a large part of the email he sent to me. Below, I've attempted to answer his questions regarding his concern. Okay, that's kind of
I think you could leave out that about.
Yeah. His concerns of Christians in the design field. I'm showing this so that other designers can benefit from further discussions. The email in my reply email said, hello, I'm a Christian graphic designer illustrator. I've been freelancing for my church, making flyers, attract logo designs for their youth and young adult ministries. Although I am grateful for the opportunities they've given me, however, I've been finding it very difficult to find paying graphic design jobs. I'm a recent graduate, but it seems that I'm getting nowhere with my chosen career. I too had made the decision to put God first in my career, even made my logo to symbolize that Jesus comes first. To be honest with you, I thought I was the only one. I haven't come across a graphic designer who put Jesus all over their work until I came across your website. So I just wanted to ask you, do you design exclusively for Christians? When did you decide to put God first in your portfolio? Have you been finding it difficult to be a Christian graphic designer as opposed to just following the crowd? And his reply is, I don't exclusively, I guess he meant design for Christians, because to be honest, I don't think the market is big enough to sustain income of a freelance graphic designer in general. I'm sure this is possible with the right connections, and especially if a Christian designer had large repeat clients. But in my opinion, much of the Christian work actually goes out to non-Christian designers. Indeed, I've seen this happen online. I reckon the amount of Christians who seek a Christian designer is relatively small. This is the way things go. After all, Christian clients want great work at reasonable prices, so you can't blame them for using secular freelancers and companies in one respect. However, I really do think that churches should use Christian designers. I'm glad you decided to put God first regarding your design skills. However, at the moment, you're still in the same boat as all new graduates. Most students find it hard. Okay, let's skip past that. Set up a blog, post regular content. Okay. Let's see. The reason I ask, he says, is because lately I've been doubting whether I made the right choice to put Jesus first in my work. I never really set out to be a graphic designer exclusively for Christians. I guess I just wanted to be able to put him first in my work, which you don't necessarily need to like emblazon it everywhere for him to be in your work. So because that was what I believed he wanted me to do, I guess I wanted to please God, but it has been a struggle, especially when I see others who don't put God first. They are succeeding and I am not. Thank you for standing out of the crowd, and thank you for taking the time to read this. God bless. He says, I always wanted to use my skills for the Lord Jesus Christ, and initially I set out to only design for Christians. I had a previous site that was a total failure, and I never got any work. I had to rethink and prayed about the situation. Eventually, about 4 years ago, decided to split my online presence into two main separate sites. I now run this blog for mainly Christian work, and my other site, Andrew Kelsall Design, which is aimed at general clientele, which includes Christians. So to conclude, is it hard being a Christian designer? Yes and no. Yes, it's hard in respect to people not hiring you because you're a Christian. But then again, are these people the types of clients you want anyway? No, in another respect, setting yourself apart as a Christian designer should make you much easier to be located by churches and other Christian organizations who want your services. The main thing is this: if it's God's will that you pursue Christian design, that's the main thing to consider. As with all things, the key relationship with Jesus and understanding his will for your life. Okay, so.
Well, I don't, yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't think that in order to put God first, that it's necessary that you make Christians your only or even your primary clientele, because Christians, just being Christian, don't need a whole lot of work. You're
Right.
very limited to churches with budgets to pay people.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're more often going to run into is churches without budgets to pay people.
Right.
And
Yes.
you're not going to be able to survive on that. And you can't let them guilt you into working for churches first. You can work for God first. And that's not necessarily the same thing.
Well, to kind of go off of what you're saying there, it's that it seems so ironic and it's very contradictory for them, to think that way and to act in that way, because there's so much scripture that says, talks about equal weights and measures, talks about keeping your commitments and agreements, talks about, paying a fair wage, but then it also, it just talks about even our own personal responsibility to, provide for our families and so on and so forth. So that's something that, how can you do, like, it's not just one or the other. I mean, everything is balanced there. If we refer to the scriptures, so you have to do that, and in caring for your family. And then if you're doing that, well, you're told to do the things that would please God, and that would please God. So I see nothing anywhere that says that you have to do everything for free, or that they can't, if they just can't, if they can't pay, if they can't do whatever the case is, then they need to just present it, come to, hey, I have some pro bono work, some, charity work. I just want to see if you'd be interested in doing it. Could we have a meeting and discuss it? And then you pray on it and decide if that's something you want to do. Simple. It's a very simple solution, and then leave it up to the artist. But the reason they don't do that, I feel like a lot of times, is because they know that these artists are going to be like, man, there's not going to be any money in this, and they want to kind of maybe head that off at the pass. I don't know, but I mean, you just be upfront about it if you're not going to pay, or you don't have the money to pay, There's been plenty of times myself, just not even people who aren't believers, that have just said, hey, if you could you do this or whatever, and I've been like, okay, yeah, I can do it, and that's a choice that I make, but I should be allowed to have that choice, and not be made to feel like something's wrong with me, because I don't want to do it,
Yeah.
So,
I mean, your first duty is to your family. You have to be able to provide for them. And you can't give to your church and starve your family at the same time. That's out of order. That's
yeah,
not right either. And your church shouldn't be asking you that.
yeah, because then they'll come right around with the plate, and jiggle that in your face, you know what I mean? And so then what are you going to do? You can't offer anything then.
Yeah, and this is why churches are broke. And um this is why they can never, in my experience, you can only ever find one person who's going to teach Sunday school. And then, she, usually a woman, she gets old. She's like 90 years old. She can't do this no more. And then she finds some sweet person with a lot of sympathy and says, "Can you take over just for a week?" And then she disappears, never to be
Yeah,
seen again.
she moved
And
to
her
another
poor,
state and everything.
just a week volunteer is there
Yeah.
for the rest of her life
Oh
until
my
she's an old
gosh.
lady too. Yeah,
Gee, that is.
it's scary. You cannot be guilted into taking over for Sunday school, or they will keep you, and the children will look at you with their big sad eyes.
Man, when you
Yeah.
said that though, like I never thought about it like that, because I don't know why that makes me think of that movie Drag Me to Hell. You put a curse on put a curse on the next person. Like, oh my gosh, now you're stuck. Now you got to give the button to somebody else.
Yeah, this is not a good example for churches to follow. You need to give people, something other than guilt to keep them coming back and keep them volunteering, some kind of real incentive. Be nice, gracious.
Yeah, I didn't realize that guilt was even a form of payment, but I
Yeah,
guess it is, huh?
yeah, but you pay it in. You don't get paid.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
my sister had this thing where she was teaching Sunday school just for a week or two, but it turned into the whole thing, and she had no curriculum. She had no
right.
supplies, no material. She had nothing to work with. She had a empty room and a bunch of children. And they didn't have any money in the church budget, and I didn't even go to that church, but I wrote them a check and wrote in the note section for Sunday school curriculum and mailed it off. And unfortunately, my sister found out about it. I was going to do this in secret, but her husband was one of the deacons and he counted the money.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh man, I didn't get to do something in secret. So, oh well. But I hope that, yeah, I mean, I know for sure that she got her curriculum that year. And I hope that maybe they felt a little bit bad about leaving her with nothing.
Yeah, that might have been good. Just give me 1 second. I gotta go check on something real quick.
All right. What's up, OPK JJ? I haven't been on this channel before. You've been subscribed long? Hey, Cross Comics. Yeah, it's really hard to find, skilled people to manage things like media. But I'm glad you weren't guilted into it.
Let me see. What does Cross Comics says? Yeah, almost sounds like me. I'm the only media guy for the kids' church. At my church, I am. However, I was not guilted into it. Well, that's good. At least you weren't, because, yeah.
Guys have a little less of a problem with guilt. Or women have a much bigger problem with guilt. I don't know which.
I think you're right, because I think that because men are usually in the leadership positions, what are the women going to do? You know what I mean? So usually then they're either doing the oneg. If you don't know what that is, it's basically like food and fellowship. So they're doing the food, and or they're doing the daycare, or
Yeah, well, it's
ministry.
the intrapersonal sort of stuff, and that's really prone to. It's a specialty where it's really prone to being guilted. Because you know that people will remember that you turned them down for doing this thing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know. That's such a, well, it makes me think, there's a book that I guess I call it my opus, that I am going to work towards. And it's a book, it's sort of like, how can I describe it? I guess I could say sort of like A Quiet Place and The Mist, like sort of as far as the vibe and the setting. And basically it's these seven strangers that wake up in this place, and it's perpetually dark outside, and they don't know why. But what they hear outside, or they realize, is that there's like these, what the Bible will call wailing and gnashing of teeth. And, there's these beasts outside, and they never see them, but they see what they do to people. And so basically there's a guy, one guy out of the group, who starts to, he's become agitated. So now they're all in this group, and they all are witnessing these things happening, but they're refusing to leave the comfort of their place, where they are, where they're all together. And it's sort of I could say, I guess it's kind of a commentary, you know, it's a commentary on the church. And I don't want to give away too much, but, you know, there's definitely a story to it. There's an unlikely protagonist who is going to, uh, who's going to do what you would think he wouldn't do. And then uh, the antagonist sort of is the body, you know, and the weakness where they fall as far as how they deal with the least of, and so on and so forth. And but yeah, it's something that came to me a while back, like years ago. I think it was in I want to say 2009, 2010, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, at first, it was like a movie script idea. I hadn't even started writing it.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing with that is that I didn't know, you know, if I'd ever finish it, as far as like, you know, I just felt like I wasn't ready to do it yet, to write it. And so then when I got it, when I found Comicsgate and I got into comics, and, you know, was started to do Johnny's Law with a Black Analyst, I don't know, I just started to think, well, maybe it should be a comic book, graphic novel, you know, one shot story, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
so I said, well, let's just work up to it, you know, let's get other things done. And being a first time comic writer,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, same here.
you know, I was like, well, you know what, if I do other projects, right, and I get an editor, and when I get this editor, then I could learn what I'm supposed to do, and, you know, get things right, understand writing comics. And then as I go from one project to the next, you know, I hit those skill levels and increase.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I get to that point, then I think I'm going to really totally be ready for, you know, for this book. So, you know, but that's the thing that it made me think about. It's a project that I'm really excited to do, anxious to do, but at the same time, I just want to do it when I feel like it's right to do it. You know, it's the right time to do it, when I'm ready to do it. As far as, like, you know, I feel confident that I could really, you know, do it. I just feel like getting an opportunity to, you know, build myself up will make it even better.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, there's some stories that I want to write, and I don't feel like I've quite got it to.
Yeah.
I don't have whatever the it is. I don't have enough of it to pull it off.
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
will. I'm getting
Yeah.
there. I'm getting closer all the time.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. Like,
Yeah.
there's the thing that I feel like it's like a switch, you know, and it clicks on, and then you're ready. Like, I think you sort of get, you find the path to get to it, right?
Yeah.
So when I was, you know, first focusing it into a script, that's when I realized I was on the path to getting to it. But then
Yeah.
I realized that at some point I didn't know the rest of the way to get there. So I had to essentially, you know, metaphorically sit down and think, and, you know, try to also pray on it and hear the way to get to it. But I know that once it gets done, I've actually pitched it to Cesar Feliciano, and he really liked it a lot and was really
Mm-hmm.
interested in it. And his wife had actually seen what I had written, and she was asking him, she was like, "Is this something, you know, this is one of the things you're doing?" And he's like, "No, this is just a friend of mine," and she really liked it. And he said that she's not necessarily, like, you know, the comics isn't her thing, and, you know, that's not necessarily anything that she, like, you know, is always into or paying attention to or whatever. But she said that was one that she really, really liked. So, you know, to me, that's a high praise and a good sign. So,
Yeah.
you know, just want
Yeah.
to
It sounds like a great concept. Yeah, you could do a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
you know, within that, and it would Probably. I don't know how it ends up, but so far the setup looks like it would be reasonable to film. But I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
Because
enough about that yet either.
it's basically like the reason why it started off. Well, the reason why I first did it as a script was because I went to a Christian film boot camp,
Hmm.
and they had given me like a little. It was a 3 day thing, and they had given me, what do you call it? A scholarship to go. And
Hmm.
so I was able to go, and then I got to learn, like, it was crash course. So I got to learn everything about, setting up lighting and the camera work. And we were using a camera with with the actual lens, like the lenses that you use for film and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. And they had already produced and had stuff. They got stuff on Netflix, as a matter of fact, right now. And anyway, also, dealing with acting and screenwriting and all these things. So that's when I realized that, I could try to do that. And one of the things that we learned about when writing scripts, which is that you want to make sure that whatever you write, you don't need a whole lot of, like, if you're new or this is something that you may not be able to get like a lot of money to do, that you always
Yeah.
want to write the least amount of locations as possible.
Yeah.
And so this only has, like, I'd say off the bat, the two main locations. There's just two of them, but then there are like a few that are flashback locations, except they're just, they're like nothing special. It's either the interior of a house or, like interior of a hospital. It's nothing that's going
Yeah.
to require like a bunch of sets or, CGI or whatever the case is.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm following a guy on Facebook. His name is Christopher Cooksey, and he's also on YouTube. He's got a channel here, and he's got a lot to do with film and special effects. He makes like these really wild looking puppets, and he's coming up with a free library of special effects for filmmakers. You might want to check him out. Um, let me see. I Let me pull you up on the tablet and see. Let me spell his name. So his name is Christopher Cooksey with a S-E-Y, I believe. See, and I don't have a link to him right now because this is a new tablet and I haven't got all my links on it yet. But you can look
Yeah,
him
no
up on
problem.
YouTube.
Okay, let's see here. Hold on.
And you should be able to find him. I've really enjoyed his series so far. I haven't caught up with everything he's posted, but yeah. So he has some interesting thoughts on filmmaking and the craft of writing and producing
Right.
good films. Some good critique and stuff.
Let me see. I pulled something up. I just need to see if they have a link to his channel. Let's see. Hmm. Doesn't have a YouTube channel. Like, maybe he's only on Facebook. Let me see.
Well, I know I've watched him on YouTube though.
Maybe it's by a different name. So I'm just looking up
Oh
his name.
gracious,
So
it's probably something or other productions, and I don't recall right off the top of my head. Something Moonlight.
I'll look him up. I'll look him up later.
All right.
Thing is going so slow. So, how much more time you got?
I got time. I got another hour.
Okay, all right. So, what this the book that you were telling me about? You said you already got one printing, and then you've got you did another one because of the issue that happened. Um, is there where's the first one? The first, not the first printing, but because this was like issue 2 or volume 2.
Yeah, issue 2. So yeah, I'm 2 issues into a 10-issue series. So I have my copies of issue 1, and my initial Kickstarter campaign from that's fulfilled. So I have some extra copies. So if you would like to get a copy of Soulbound 1, I've got that. And it should be available on otherrealmstudio.com.
Okay. Is that the only place to get it?
Currently, I did apply to alternate distribution. But, I'm sure they were swamped when they came out with their distribution company. So we're waiting to hear back. But yeah, Other Realm Studio is my site and my business that I do. I'm a writer and an artist. I paint book covers, and right now I'm working on the cover and interior for a book for Jeremy Lott.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's written some children's books, and his first one is called Growlylocks and the Three Humans, and it's a spin on the Goldilocks story, and it's really funny, and I'm creating the most beautiful pictures, the most beautiful digital paintings I can muster for this book. It's coming out really good.
Just hold on. Just come on here. My bed has a hole in it. Okay, but what else are you telling me? I don't know if we can buy another bed because mine has a hole in it. Okay, but are you finished with the phone? Yeah. Okay. Because it has a hole in it. Okay, well, just lay here for a bit or whatever. I don't know what to do about it right this second. I don't know how it's got one, but okay. Is your site the one with the Dean Cain painting with?
Yeah, I've just put
Okay,
that up. Yeah, my favorite. Like, I wasn't really that into a lot of TV shows, but then the New Adventures of Superman, Lois and Clark.
Yeah.
I love that show. And so I thought, well, it occurred to me one day that, hey, I should, while I'm painting, human beings in this book for Jeremy Lott, I need to do a practice piece.
Right.
And I said, well, it would be great if I could do some fan art of Dean Cain from Superman, and it would be so fun to have it finished by his birthday. And then I looked up his birthday, and oh my gosh, it's like the day after tomorrow. So that was a rush job. Oh, and this one right here that's up, this girl is Penance Copper, and
Okay.
she's the main character of my novel that's coming out with Silver Empire Press. This is not official art for the book. This is what I drew of her while I was writing it.
Right. Okay. Some inspiration or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Yeah, and so this is a scene in the book. This is like right when I got my new software, so you can see I'm practicing with a lot of different stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm trying out effects and trying out new stuff with it. So I have better work now. So this is up here to show how much I've improved. I've done so much better since then.
So what software is it?
Oh yes, I use Clip Studio Paint.
Okay, yeah, I have that one as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's great stuff. The more I get used to it. Oh, this is traditional pen and ink with
Yeah, I like that.
brushwork. This is
Yeah.
another really old piece. Um,
Oh, I like that.
yeah,
That's really neat.
yeah. I made some little like 1-inch buttons of that one. It's a
Oh,
little
that's really
coin
cool.
dragon. Um, I also sculpt. So I sculpted and cast little resin dragons, and
Mhm.
I put them in eggs so that you can get an egg with a dragon and hatch it out, and then it can guard your change.
Oh,
And
that's pretty cool.
I sell them at Comic Cons with little change jars and instructions for their care and everything. Um,
How come you don't sell this like like on eBay or
um,
somewhere else?
I just haven't set it up. The shipping was giving me a little bit of trouble,
Hmm.
but uh, also there's just no time. I I have all these books I'm working on, all this art, um, all these different sites. You know, I would have more time if I could catch on to how to build websites a little faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
and my daughter wanted a pony, so I painted the sissiest pony I could muster. Um, and I actually really like how that one came out. That was
Yeah, it came out really good.
in the Corel program. Actually, that one was not Eclipse Studio Paint one.
Yeah, that was the program that you used before Flip Studio Paint.
No, it came with my Wacom um, when I got a Wacom. It came with some software. Oh, and there's
Hmm.
a steampunk heart. It's a little
You
patched
know,
together.
when you do these look really good, like the way that they come out.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, colors on this one were really difficult. I'm still not sure I like any of the colors.
I think it looks good actually. I don't know why the first thing that pops into my head is like uh like it would be some curious piece in a Wes Anderson movie, you know.
Hmm.
First thing I'm thinking of is like uh Rushmore and uh the Royal Tenenbaums and stuff like that. You may not be familiar, but yeah.
No, I'm trying to think, and I don't think so.
Yeah. Let me see. Hold on. I'll show you real quick. Hold on. Let's see.
So yeah, that was my steampunk heart, and it has a watch in it because it's also um it's like you ever hear that your heart referred to as your ticker?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it ticks.
That's actually good. It's like on the nose, but it makes sense too. It works really well. But yeah, this is the movie that I was talking about. He's actually from my hometown. He's from Houston, I believe.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. So this movie came out a long while back. It actually is what it made him famous. He went on to do a lot of other movies, and most people have probably seen the Fantastic Mr. Fox that he did. Which
Yeah.
yeah, he's the one that did that. So, but yeah, this is the first movie that made him. But yeah, that's what it made me think of because it's all like this quirky kind of aesthetic, as you can probably see from this picture right
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Oh,
just what it.
yeah. Yeah, I make goggles too.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah, it definitely reminded me of
and
that.
stuff.
Oh, I like that. That's really nice.
Ah, thank you. Yeah, there was uh who was it? It's either the a homeschool it might have been the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. They were running a contest for a $200 gift card um for somebody who could create a movie poster, not for an actual movie, but like a movie poster for a superhero movie about homeschoolers. And it was very, or I think it was for Mother's Day, so homeschooling mom as a superhero. I'm like, well, she's
Right.
got to have her family in there. How are you going to know she's a mom?
Right.
And,
Right.
so I created this, and it was the winning entry. There were some good ones, but I'm pretty excited that this one won.
Yeah,
I'll
man.
say,
I don't see how it wouldn't have though. It's really really good.
yeah. So you see, I got to use a lot of the Clip Studio assets in the background,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
but I
it. Yeah, it's
wanted,
really good the way that you put it together. Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to represent all the stuff that I teach.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, there's nature, and I don't get to teach a lot of music. I don't know much about it. But nature and space, and there's a nod to the 4-H uh, rabbit and pocket pet
Uh,
competition in the background.
I
And,
see it. Yeah. That's really
and books and
cool. I
stuff.
like
Yeah.
that one.
Ah, thank you. So,
I like how he's looking at you.
yeah, well, I wanted, since it's the subject of it's supposed to be the mom, since it was
Right.
for Mother's Day, then I wanted to just have everything just sort of point her way. And eye direction is uh,
The easiest
a
way to
good
do it.
little hack, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But also the lines of everything kind of point in a little triangle right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah. That's pretty good. I like that.
Oh yeah, and this is a pencil piece that, yeah, it's another old one. I did it at a very small, very slow Comic Con with a number 2 pencil on 8.5 by 11 copy paper.
Oh wow. Hold on one second.
So this is one of the concepts for one of my stories. Actually, this is one place I was going to go with my Asha story. I decided to do something slightly different. And I may have started this one on the Mermay uh, Artist Challenge on Instagram. And I made it with the clear background so I can put it on stuff like uh, stuff on Zazzle, blankets and cards and coffee mugs. So I wanted to do something a little bit different with mermaids. And she's got jewelry. Oh, thank you, Cross Comics.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, that one's nice too. I like that one.
Oh, and this one, this one was a commission for a horror comic anthology from Hellcat Press.
Mm-hmm.
So this is traditionally done. The actual piece is rather small. It's pen and brush and different colored inks. So it's a creepy doll for a horror anthology.
I like that the cat, I guess, is wearing a sock.
Um, It's actually a representation of their logo. So
Oh, okay.
this is like the markings of the cat on their logo.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see. I'm trying to see like all the little details in the background. Is that like a little shrunken head inside of a?
It's a drowned crow.
Oh, okay. Now I
Yeah.
can see it.
So
Oh, yeah.
so yeah, I threw a bunch of weird stuff in the background.
I love that the whole poison thing on there. That's pretty cool.
And I don't say what kind of parts are in the box.
You just give enough of an allude to it enough. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another one. This one's actually pretty big. It's like 11 by 17.
Hmm.
Um, pen and ink and brush again. It's another old one. I was trying out some new concepts. You can see that my brush work got a little streaky in places, but that's really because it was such a big piece. I don't think I can do ink on a very large thing
Yeah.
because you have to keep
But
dipping the brush in and it gets streaky.
yeah.
And this is a logo that I did for my sister. She's a wildlife rehab uh, expert for fawn. So that's what she specializes in. And they're incredibly delicate little creatures. It
Yeah.
they can die of anything. They can die of being scared to death. They can die of capture myopathy. They get dehydrated really easy. They get scared in thunderstorms and beat themselves up trying to get away. I mean,
Wow.
deer are hard. And so she rescues deer, and she's got, at least 50 um, yeah, in a barn, in her house, on her porch, all over. Yeah, every year. So people find orphan fawn uh, near roads, or they find lost ones that got separated from their mothers. Uh, they sometimes have dogs that drag them up, which that's really not a good sign. No matter how gentle a dog is, it's almost guaranteed to puncture the poor thing's lungs.
Jeez.
But yeah, so she does amazing work, and she's a saint. And that's another old piece. Uh, pen and ink and brush again. It started out as an ink blot, and I just kept going.
That's pretty good. I like, yeah, when it's like, I used to be into that a lot, is abstract stuff,
Hmm.
and just making shapes and then just kind of seeing where it all ends up.
Yeah, so I have an abstract fairy tale series, but I haven't worked on it in a while.
Hmm.
Oh, and this one was a commission piece. This guy, he wanted he's coming out with an album. I haven't got any more news on it since then, but he was coming out with his album, and he wanted his portrait, but as instruments.
That's pretty
So
good.
so he says, "Can you do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can do that." So
It came
I'm
out
like,
pretty
"Yeah,
good. It came out pretty good. I really like that.
thank you."
I like how it's like what the piano is sort of like sort of seems like a tie, like a bow tie or something.
Yeah, his shirt collar was right there too in the picture that he gave me. So I just
So yeah,
kept
kind of.
incorporating stuff. Oh, and cross comics. My sister cannot fawn over her fawn. She has to release them when they're adults, or well, when they're yearlings. So she can't let them imprint on humans. Although she does keep
Okay.
there are some that are non-releasable. Um, there are some dwarves and piebalds that are usually dwarves as well, that usually have some uh, health problems. So she gets to keep those, but a deer in captivity can live up to 20 years. So she's she's signed on for the long haul. Okay, so yeah, that's where you can order Soulbound #1, and it's about Becca, who's a college student who's suddenly flung through a portal to another world of monsters, myth, and magic, where uh, she gets in a lot of trouble, like right off the bat.
Right.
So yeah, you can see where she ends up in issue 2. She's in a dungeon with some very creepy stuff going on, and she arrives disoriented. She's not doing so well.
And so, uh, is she still in that realm, or is it, or is
Um,
she back home?
well, she has to find a way to get back home before her soul goes wandering back without the rest of her. So it's going to be a few issues. She gets to stay in the other realm and learn how to live there, and uh, take some kind of precautions to keep from uh, dying of soul sickness, which is a thing in this world.
And what is that?
So where where you live, where you grow up, where you form your relationships with everyone. It's like your world is your home, and the people you love are where your soul is at home. And Becca was susceptible in the first place because her her only family died, and she was adrift from everyone she ever knew, and she was alienated from her own home. And so she falls through this portal to the other realm. And there's this hole in her soul because she's still grieving, and her soul is wanting to go back and wander and look for what it's lost.
Right.
So that's known in this world as soul sickness. And it starts off, you feel sick, you pass out, you don't wake back up, and you have to have help from someone, like a priest, to pray for your soul to return back to your body, or else your soul will not be there anymore and you'll die, and your soul could get lost between the realms in the void, forever, or become a ghost.
So this would be like if you were, well, that concept in and of itself would be like like as if you were asked to explain um, what could happen if like Dorothy stayed in Oz too long.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah. Okay. That's because that's what it makes me think of, like, which has never been addressed. You know, so to hear it in this way, that's pretty cool because it's really well thought out.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so um I spent a lot of time, working out how this would work and what the consequences for it would be, and why it would work. And that's it's like the whole system that this world is based on is that the symbol is much closer to the real thing than it is in our world.
Right. So would you? Okay. So when you come up with ideas, how do I ask this? Are you do you limit yourself? I don't know if you want to call it limiting, or do you work, I guess, inside of a guideline of, you know, is this is this something that is, like, I guess, biblically sound or not, or does it matter? As long as it's not like, because the way that I think of it, I guess the easier way to do this is, the way that I look at things is, like, I get that believers, like when we talk about art and we talk about media and then film and so on, um, we don't we we try to avoid certain things, for obvious reasons. But I also feel like too that it sort of confines us in certain ways. So, like, for example, you have a movie. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, Courageous.
Um, let's
That
see. That
one
was the
company
firefighter one.
they do. No, I think they were
No,
police.
no, no, no. Fireproof is the one I saw, but I thought
Yeah,
that Courageous was
yeah,
along that vein.
yes. I think it's the same company and same directors, the
Hmm.
Kendrick brothers or whatever. Anyway, Courageous. Like in the beginning when they're chasing somebody, I guess he's a drug dealer, or I don't know what, killer or something like that. And the way that the way that he talks, and it's like, and even the parts where he's like supposed to be dealing with the gang, like his henchmen or his goons or whatever.
Hmm.
Uh, the way that he talks to them is just so corny and cheesy, and I get why they're doing it. Like, I get the
Yeah,
whole trying to, like, not cuss
they
and so on and
they
so
had
forth.
to be clean for the primary audience. Yeah.
Right. But here's the thing that, in my mind, the way that I see it. So I guess it's kind of what I'm asking, I guess, in a way, is like, for me, I feel like if I'm gonna tell a story about um, like, somebody who is a drug addict and all these different things, or in that case of someone who's supposed to be a thug or a gangster or whatever the case is, I mean, you can write skillfully enough to where you don't necessarily have to use that language, but I feel like in that there's a point where you're lessening the impact of
Yeah, because you're
the
being
gospel.
dishonest to the world
Right. You're
that your
lessening the
story is
impact
set
of the
in.
you're lessening the impact of the gospel before they
Hmm.
receive it, and then after, because the after is us.
Hmm.
So, and then the before is the person that hasn't received it yet. So the after, and must always remember where they came from, and must always remember what the reality is, right? And then those that are before should, because if they see it the other way, it doesn't have the same impact to them because of what they're actually dealing with right in that moment,
Hmm.
or right in that point in their life. you know I don't think that you can really, like, show someone go through something unless you make something that is done in such a way where it's very minimal in dialogue, you know um, and more situational,
Yeah.
more of actually seeing things happening. Uh, but I don't think that you can show, like, a real true before and after that way.
Yeah. Well, I did run into that problem with my novel because I have Penance and she's grown up in a really rough life, but I started it right when she's trying to be better. So there is some mild language in it here and there, but she stops herself from cussing, because that's like the one thing that she knows. Okay, well, I know for sure that I should not say this. I should definitely not say it in front of children. So I will stammer a second and then come up with something else to say. So
Right.
she's trying. And it also helped to have her be a little bit redneck, so she can come up with different ways of saying stuff that's not necessarily crude, but it's still very blunt.
Yeah. Well, well, here's the thing about like what I'm doing. Johnny's Law is, well, okay. Where we're at in the present time, you're not going to see a whole lot of it, right?
Hmm.
Very, very minimal. But I guess that's what I'm saying too is the character, and if it fits with that character, I mean, because, a believer can stand right next to a non-believer and the non-believer can just cuss up a storm. What are we going to do? You know,
Hmm.
we can't force that person not to be what they are at that moment. So that's where I feel like in a story, if we're telling the story, that the character should be genuine. You know,
Yeah.
if that is the character, then they should be that character. But you can always put situations or other characters around them to sort of, kind of balance it out. It's
Yeah.
just like I've been in lots of situations where I've been with people before I was a believer that, we're out there, talking or whatever. And yeah, we're cussing up a storm. And then, my homeboy will see somebody, an elderly lady come up or, something like that, or a mother with her kids. And they'll be like, oh, okay, my bad, sorry. And then they'll stop,
Hmm.
until they leave, So it's not like, they can't. It's just that they're in that current mentality.
Yeah.
It's
It's not
you
it's
don't
not a big
see an
deal
option.
until it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, exactly. It's not a big deal until it is, exactly. Now, for the ash can that I did, the 10 pages. Well, it's kind of all bets are off at that point because this is a point in time before where because even when we pick up in the main book, it's the year that it is, but we're still going to go forward like another 5 years,
Hmm.
right? So the book ends off in the present, which would be 5 years after where we start. But in the ash can, this is a time. I can't off the top of my head now remember how many years back it is, but anyway, it's back in the 90s. As a matter of fact, yeah, so it's like 10 plus years, but it's like in the 90s, and like I want to say like 98, 97, 98. And so it's at a time where he is uh, so much more brutal and savage. You know, it's like I guess the peak of his brutality and savagery uh, until we get to that more present story where it's not that he's not necessarily. It's just that you know within him he's changing the way that he's starting to change the way he thinks. And even though he doesn't really relay that to the audience, it kind of it shows in the way that he handles like the fight situations. Because the way you see him fight in the Ronin Ashcan, as opposed to the way you see him fight, in the present day, it's different. It is a lot different. And it's
Yeah.
not that he's totally adverse to his previous methods. It's just that something is changing for him. But
Yeah.
the
So in order
Mhm.
to show the character arc and for that to have an impact, you can't have everything all squeaky clean. And that's what you get with a lot of Christian fiction. I wonder if it's because, they imagine their pastor or uh, their neighbor in the pew next to them, or
Mhm.
uh, the old lady teaches the Sunday school, or somebody breathing down their neck about it. You know,
Yeah.
Like, you're writing this book and you hope that everyone you know buys it. And then you hope, no, no, actually, I hope no one I know buys it because then I shall be shunned.
Yeah, exactly. The shunning will begin. And that's and you know what's so crazy is you will hear these same people come up and give their tearful testimony and will tell you about all these things they used to do, you
Hmm.
know. And I get that, well, just because I did it before doesn't mean that I can abide in it now. But it's not like you're abiding in anything. It's more so that you're getting to see someone who goes, from that. If it's that type of a story, who goes from what you went through and then becomes who they are now. You know, uh,
Yeah. I
I
mean, you can depict things without glorifying them.
right, exactly, yes, because sometimes it's just a fact of life, and not only is it uh, to me disingenuous to believers, but more so to non-believers because they look at it, they're the first ones to have something to say, so to them it just looks like, oh, you're just, you know eh, there's no impact to them. There's nothing that makes them think, oh my gosh, and that's why with that book that I'm doing. Um, Sorry, I'm trying to order your book, and I'm over here trying to change. I forgot to change my address on my card like a long time ago.
Uh,
And,
well, don't worry about it. You don't have to order it on stream.
well, no, I wasn't doing it just to do it on stream. I just do it because I wanted to do it, but and so I was trying to change the thing. Um, I've already had it set up. That was the thing, and then I realized that the billing address was wrong, so that's why
Oh,
I was
yeah.
trying to figure it out. But yeah, so it doesn't have the same weight or the same impact. I mean, imagine trying to tell your testimony, you know, and saying, well, a long time ago, I was a, I was just not a nice person, you know. You
And
know,
now I'm nice.
now I'm nice.
Yeah.
I'm a nice, good person now, you
Hmm.
and that's not as believable, Oh, I was into prostitution, I was doing drugs, and man, I used to sit there and do this and that. Like if you tell that story, that's you know that's a story that they're gonna be like, whoa, dang, Miss Georgia, I didn't know, I didn't even know, like, gosh, that's
Yeah.
great. You came a long way, you know. But I guess
Yeah. But showing like a fictional testimony of a fictional character, somehow this isn't okay.
right,
Maybe sometimes
exactly.
people got to see it in fiction before they can make the leap and do it for themselves. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what culture is. That's what entertainment is. It's seeing how people other than you are and seeing if you can do that as well.
right,
Seeing if that's the right thing to do or not.
right. And I mean, like I said, I do understand that, for the aspect, from the aspect of, kids, watching the movie, I guess, yeah, it makes sense. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, comes a point with, at a certain age when kids are, I mean, they're gonna, especially nowadays with all these devices, they're gonna find out stuff, whether you want them to or not,
Yeah.
You can filter, you can do as much as you can, and that's great. Uh, but if eventually, if they end up on them for more than 30 minutes or an hour a day, then yeah, they're gonna run across it. There's no way around that, you know.
Yeah, there's no substitute for, you know, talking to your kids and talking to people and, there's no substitute for raising your children.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because then you take them out in the world, they're gonna see certain things, and then they're gonna ask
Yeah.
questions like, why this, why that, and
And you need to give them a head start on how to deal with stuff. That's what you're there for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it has been an interesting conversation. I think we covered a lot of ground there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, no problem, no problem. Not many people watching, but I usually get more right now at this point. I usually get more people that watch after, you know,
Yeah.
on the rebroadcast. So, but any little bit it helps. So, well, anything else you wanna say or add or um,
Uh, let's see. So, I've got all these stories that I've been working on that I finally gotten to the skill level where I can actually start creating some of them. And so there's one of them that's a story called Asha, which is about a uh, the the sole survivor of a failed research colony on another planet, and she has grown up to be like this feral jungle queen, and a a scavenger crew comes to her planet. You know, well, it's a little late now. The rest of the colony's dead, and she's grown, but they accidentally lead some interstellar pirates to her, and there's a secret that she holds in her very blood, and it's uh, it's got a little bit of Genesis in it, and a little bit of Raiders of the Lost Ark, some uh, if Indiana Jones was like a space uh, cowboy sort of thing. Um,
hmm.
lots of genres just crushed into this one, and I'm really excited about it. And I have it scripted out to be a one shot comic, like
Like a
32 pages,
novel?
and I don't I don't really have time to drop my other projects and do this one, but um, I decided that if it gets enough interest, if it gets like 400 likes on uh, my pinned tweet on my account, then I'll know that there's that many people who will want to see me go through with it, and
Yeah.
I can tell them about the campaign for it and everything, because I don't want to launch a campaign for a completely unrelated project to my other ones without knowing that there's some people interested in it.
Right.
And I also just really want this character to get off my back for a few minutes.
Well, I would tell you to, like, I just hope that everyone likes on that. I think I liked on it.
Oh yeah, yeah, I saw that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
No, you're welcome.
I
And
should
then,
thank you.
and then, pushing on your YouTube. Just do some, like, maybe if you want to do some practice, like some speed drawing of it or anything, just something to at least get people to watch, like get some views and stuff, and then of course point them to that post and things like that. But
Yeah.
I'm sure you know all that. So.
Yeah, so I'm easing back into my old art stream. I'm getting there. I have a webcam now. I'm still setting up my study, so it's uh since I didn't get to clear out my inventory this year, things were a mess.
Yeah.
Uh so yeah, I have the art stream on Other Realm Studio on Twitch,
Hmm.
and I also have it. Uh, I'm set up on Restream.io, so it simultaneously streams to Twitch, Facebook Live, and YouTube.
Oh, that's good. Okay,
So
I'm posting your link for your website, and then let's see here. You have a YouTube, so let me look. Let me get that real quick. Do you have that?
yeah,
I think you have it.
I don't have a shortened. URL for it.
Okay, that's fine. We can just go with. Hold on a second here.
Well, I think you can find it just by clicking my profile picture here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go here. I think you can. Wait. Yeah, probably can't do it that way. Hold on. Not for me. I can't. Hold on. Let's see here. Asha. There. This. Okay. This one doesn't. I don't see YouTube. Okay. Let me look on my channel and I'll find it. Go to my channel.
Yeah, one of the things that's really helped me with my channel, before I had the webcam, my husband put a second monitor up in my computer cabinet. I said, "What do I need a second monitor for?" And now I cannot live without it. This is the best idea ever. Because I'm not closing out windows. All I have to do is just scoot things that I don't want to have on my screen share. Just scoot it up to the one that's not shared. It is the most fantastic thing.
That definitely helps a lot. I used to have a second monitor. I don't have it right now, but here we go. I'll find your channel. Let's see here.
Yeah, I had this problem last year where sometimes the second monitor would cut out, and I can't believe how much I missed it. But I think now we have a new cable on it, so that's fixed. I haven't seen it cut out in months.
Well, that's good because having that thing makes things a lot easier when you can move things around. Like right now, I'm using my iPad for camera, and then I use this app called Epoch Camera or Epoch Cam or something like that. I've got the paid version, even though it's like $8, but I got it to because it doesn't put ads. Which when if you're trying to do anything with the camera,
Yeah,
if the ad comes up, it kind of you have to wait till it finishes and all that, which is annoying.
yeah, that's awkward.
Yeah, there's more settings that you get with it too, so I figured it's not that bad. But yeah, I went ahead and put that link in the chat for anyone that may come back and find it later, and then I'm gonna go ahead and let you get on to your family and stuff, take care of all that. But it was great having you on. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, thanks so much for having me. Yeah,
No
this has been fun. It's good to talk to another human being. we're all a little bit different these days.
Yeah, I know because of people being indoors so much. But
I mean, my family are pretty good humans too, but new people. I mean, I'm such a hermit, but even I need a few new people, and it's been wonderful to meet you.
Oh, wonderful to meet you too. It's interesting that you said that too, because when the first order went out, I was driving because I drive like Uber and Lyft, and I was driving primarily Uber, and I picked one lady up, and she said, I've always been an introvert," and I was like, "Oh, really?" And she goes, "But ever since this happened," she's like, "I'm starting to question whether I really am an introvert or not." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And she goes, "Yeah, because now, like, I know, like, it's almost like I never really knew what it really meant to be an introvert, and to be, a hermit." And she's like, "Now, you know, where when the options have been taken away from you, then it's like, well, wait a minute, I don't want to I don't really want it like that. I want to talk to people and meet people and and all that."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you get your fill soon.
Yeah. And then you're like, yeah, I don't think I'm really that much of an introvert.
Yeah, you don't miss it till it's gone.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, thank you so much, Paula, for dropping by.
All right. Well, thank you.
All righty.